Does this look dated to you? Like maybe it's from the 70s? I think they need to update the signage. But I like it. I like it. I like the feel. This goes off to their football pitch as I'm in the middle of my walk getting to the base of, well, not really the base of the fortress, because honestly, the fortress, the Przemyśl fortress, surrounded the entire city and was made up of like 45 different forts, I guess you could say, inside of it, with 12 that were actually completed fully. And then it was like 26 miles worth of trenches and barbed wire. Crazy stuff. But that's where we're heading right now. We're heading towards like what really remains. But what remains, in the base of it, we have these apartments and that awesome sign. I do think it's awesome. I'm not just making fun of it. I'm not. Really not. I feel like it's one of those old communist, like for postcards, like from the 70s. That's what it looks like. With Fun Park in the background, and then next to it, there's actually a chairlift for the ski mountain here. We are at the one of these forts, and just like before, this place is closed. I don't get it. What's the purpose of having an information area if it's never open on Saturdays? There was a cat here last time that scared me. I think we're okay. All right. Whew. All right, let's go. Time to venture up. Oh, God. Maybe this wasn't a good idea to do a repeat of my last trip. God, I forgot how... Okay. So you'll note some of the fortifications right here. You'll also note this is why most people didn't scale this stuff. But we got to go up this way. And I have to conquer my fears. My fears of walking on slippery surfaces that you can see down in. But the view is really worth it. It's like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe random light post. I guess people must do this at night. God, I don't remember it being this steep. When they say the high ground, they're not kidding. Like, really. Like, look at this. And then if you look out behind me, in the distance, you can see we're getting to the highest point in town. The city, that is. For people that like a better view, I suggest coming in the winter when it's the leaves are down. And on a non-rainy day, if you can plan it. Like the last time I was here, I'm trying to envision this without all the trees because they wouldn't have been here. You have your vantage point where the soldiers would set up and get their weapons ready to fire. What's crazy about this siege, and I'm going to do the short version that I remember at this point, and that is, the crazy thing is, the second siege, when the Russians laid siege on this, was for 173 days. That's like the third longest siege in modern world warfare. Like the fortress of Przemyśl, this one, it was the Stalingrad of World War I. And it had that type of effect too. Because really, for the most part, after the Russians eventually took this territory, it shifted the tide enough that the Russians ended up using an exhaustive supply of soldiers, like usual. And as people might remember, a few years after, this was 1914, 1917, the Tsar was overthrown, Bolshevik revolution took over, and some scholars would say that part of that was because of the manpower loss. You decide for yourself. And whether in modern warfare or warfare from the early 20th century, the Soviet Union, Russians, whatever, they always throw a lot of people into the mix. It's always about sheer numbers. And I say that because for this battle specifically, the first siege, they brought in 92,000 men. Okay? They lay siege here for like 3 weeks. And after they lost 10,000 men, they decided, oh, this isn't going to work. And instead, they did something better, which is they came back a few months later and they said, hey, let's just starve them out, which proved to be a very successful strategy because it got to the point that there was no food coming in. So the 130,000 soldiers that were garrisoned here, they had like 15,000 horses prior to the siege, the second siege, and by the end they had like under 5,000. They had to butcher 10,000 of these horses in order to feed everyone. Now this was cool last time I was here. Now it's really creepy. Also smells. But if you ever want to do this tour, which is cool, they do have signs. They explain stuff. Like, see, this is what I'm talking about here. For the wall. See, this is the wall that we just came up. But this looked out onto everything. Yeah, pretty neat. And then this right here would have been a barracks where some of the soldiers would have slept and manned their posts in order to get ready for any sort of like attack. And in this case, the attack, as we go through the tall grass, and then we'll have to turn around, but it's interesting now, it's harder to visualize because you have a chairlift that cuts right across. But, all right then, let's go up. Whoa, ah! Almost fell, it's all mud. That wasn't a very bright idea. I'm soaked. Going up a set of steps now. I liked this part before, this is why we came this way, to show it to you. Again, it's crazy how this all looks with everything grown up. Obviously there's a trail here, but you'll note here is another entrance to a fort right here, and you can see what's left of part of the structure, unless that was Aslan's table. You get that? Get that reference? Now, another reason why I wanted to come this way though is if you saw part one, you saw we hit a lot of churches. So one thing that I found really interesting as you trudge up the ski slope at this fortress, whoa, look at the snail. Is the snail right here. Look at that guy. Whoa. Hey, Louie, you want some? Yeah, that might have been a shout out to a student of mine. I know I want that. Anyway, what they have right here, and it looks out, so you have this beautiful vantage point right here of the bugs that are about to get me, and 3 crosses that they put up. It's really awesome. And I'd love to stay and look at it longer, but the bugs are getting me, guys. It's like they're like, oh, we've never had American before. Oh, yummy. Now this might be fake news, but I wonder if they had this tower before Paris did. Crazy. So if you're an outdoorsman, you'll know this is not a bad walk. I would personally hit this, as I said, I'd hit it in the fall or when the leaves start to change. I think it would really add to the beauty. I mean, look at all the trees that you'd get to see in their color. Well, I do these walks for this, guys. Look at this. Look at this view. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. It's gorgeous. And even though it's not a sunny day, looking at the beauty of this part of Poland, I think is well worth it. I mean, we're only 3 hours from Krakow. It's definitely worth the trip. I'm just saying. Because you have to understand, this territory, this region wasn't always Polish. It was actually Ruthian, I think is what it is. R-U-T-H-I-E-N. Might have spelled it wrong, might have said it wrong. But they were actually disputing it, the Polish tribes, the Ruthenian tribes. And it took a while for it to actually get under Polish rule, I think sometime in the 12th to 13th century. But knowing there's so much history here, you kind of just have to choose a century, and you'll find something of interest, I'm sure. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but the river is in view, and then all the apartment buildings over to the side. And the bugs, meanwhile, want me to know that I need to keep moving. God. Another giant snail. After much climbing, I made it to the Eiffel Tower. Finally. And unlike last time I was here, I can actually see it. Last time I filmed in like the best possible filming conditions ever. It was covered in fog. You can only see a few feet in front of you. Chairlift. Different view. Oh, here we go. Now, if you're wondering how do you find this stuff, they do have maps throughout, and they do have little location markers telling you like where you were, which fort location. So that's helpful if you want to read that. I mean, I'm not really that cool, so I don't do stuff like that. But let me show you the city. I don't think my camera does it justice, but it's gorgeous. And my cell phone camera would do it justice, or better, but yeah, it's dead at the moment. Ooh. Note to self. Note to self, slow down enough so you have everything in your bag, right? Now, as my glasses fog up, one thing I will mention, and this is new for me, is as I walk, last time I was here, there were no tourist groups. So it's kind of funny, because now we're getting to this beautiful cross that they built that looks out onto the valley right here. Wow, what a view. Let me give you a different view. Look at this. I love the differences. You got the high-rise apartment buildings, and then you have like the older homes. You got the bridge in the distance. And if you go that way, that goes to Ukraine. And that's another reason why we're here. It's actually why I came here back in December. I wanted to see what was going on, if you will, because this city was really the first rescuer city. When the refugees fled in those first days of the war, and even the weeks and months that followed, many of them crossed the border here. And this is where Poland welcomed the Ukrainian refugees. And so it's a really like important city. And all the dignitaries that keep going into Ukraine, because you can't fly in there, they literally take the train through here. So there's some significance, if you will. Don't be fooled. I know I was last time. Right next to me right here is the remnants of one of the forts. You can climb up it. You can take a look. It's not worth our time today. I want to go to the Tatar Mound, because that's the cooler part. And I think it's kind of interesting that we're going to a place where they had all these Slavic rituals, old Slavic rituals, but right here, kind of looking out as this guardian of the city and the Polish countryside, Pole land, which is land of fields, is this beautiful cross. True that, right? Yeah, the last time I was here, the two things I really wanted to see, but I wasn't able to, was the Tatar Mound, which this is what happened last time. I got confused because they have a sign that says 500 meters, but it doesn't really, like, specify where. And I also wanted to check out the new Jewish cemetery, what remains of it anyway, because prior to World War II, 40% of the population was Jewish. Only 60% of this city was Polish. And now it's 99.1%. Note how the times have changed, for obvious reasons. As we walk away from the cross, what remains of the fort that was on top of this hill, you can see the moat, or more like the trenches that were dug. And then there's plenty of trails to explore. and, well, see for yourself just the massiveness of this fortress. And I'm guessing, or I'm hoping, that my mound is this way, because I didn't go this way before. Please may it be over here. I refuse to turn on my phone because just in case I don't get a charger, I need to have enough juice in it for tomorrow for my train ticket, because that's what it's on. Now don't you worry, we have found the burial mound for the Tatar. And the leader of the tribe, for some reason I want to say of the Mongols, but I'm getting all my history confused right now. But the leader of the tribe that attacked this area, here's his burial mound right here. And of course the camera doesn't want you to see the awesomeness of it because that would be too cool. Look at the green. When I was a kid, when I would think of Poland, this is what I thought. Well, come to think of it, I also thought Romania was like this too. I would think of dirt roads, horse and buggies. Alright, maybe that's stereotyping, but that's what I would always think of. I think of people in their traditional outfits. But I would think of these Carpathian Mountains, because that's where we are right now. We're kind of like nestled up next to them. And the gateway into Slovakia and Hungary. And meanwhile, look at us. We're going up the mound. Rock on. You'll note, unlike the mound in Krakow, these are clearly handicapped accessible. Okay, not at all. I'm surprised they even have the steps in here, but I think they must have put this in because of erosion, would be the natural reason. Alright, let's take a look at this view. I've worked so hard to do, oh my god. Wow. Alright, this is definitely the highest point of town. Look at this. Wow. You want to enjoy this? Well, maybe you're enjoying it right now. But this is awesome. And it would also make sense why that they had the burial ground here. So their leader could look over them in times of trouble. Wow. I totally didn't expect it to be like this. This is much better than I thought. Better than the Krakus Mound, better than Wanda Mound, because you can clearly see they built it on top of everything, so it looks out. Note even in the rain, I did this so you can see me clearly. Wow. I like how the cross, though, is in the background, because as was found, I mean, maybe I'm making this part up, but it is true. There used to be a church here, okay? There used to be a church on this part of the mound. Originally, it was for Slavic rituals, Slavic gods, where they would do their rituals. But then, over time, they did put a church here. And guess who destroyed the church? Drum roll! Yes, the Germans. They destroyed it probably because it was a high point, and they wanted to use it as a, the high ground. But anyway, here we are. You should come take a look for yourself. This is really, really cool. So, at the base of, well, right now I'm at the bottom of Tatar Mound. And just to remind you that this was in fact a fort, look right here. We got creepy factor number 1. No, I'm not going in there. It's too dark and sketchy for me. Maybe if I had a sacrificial lamb to go with me, but not today. For some reason in the back of my head, oh here, oh god, these guys are coming back down, how annoying. It's like I'm trying to film. It's like people, don't they realize I'm filming? Don't talk. What I was trying to, I want to say it was Tatar Khan, like related to Genghis Khan, like the Golden Horde. But I'm not sure if I'm just kind of morphing stories at this point. But maybe one of you guys, the viewers, can straighten me out with the history lesson here. And my apologies. Again, my phone and I we're not buddies today.